Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm so happy that you could join me today. This is a mystery that to this day is really not solved, and it has to do with the Sodder family. It was Christmas Eve, December 24th of 1945, when a fire destroyed the Sodder home in Fayetteville, West Virginia in the United States. At the time, it was occupied by George Sodder and his wife Jennie and 9 of their 10 children. During the fire, George, Jennie, and 4 of the 9 children escaped. The bodies of the other 5 children have never been found. The Sodders believed for the rest of their lives that the 5 missing children survived. The Sodders never rebuilt the house. Instead, they covered it with dirt and they made it a memorial for the children that were either missing or burned. They put up a billboard poster asking for a reward to anyone who had information for these missing children. Now, this case is very strange because of the unusual circumstances around this case. So it took the fire department 7 hours to get there, and the fire chief indicated, and I don't know, this is alleged, that he didn't know how to drive a fire truck. Okay, then. There's also a theory that this could have been the Sicilian mafia. There were several points that indicated that George had co-signed a loan with one of Fiorenzo Giantuolo, who was from Italy. So it is possible, and he benefited from the fire because of the insurance policy, but he co-signed a mortgage on him. Also, Rosser Long, a traveling salesman, came to the house because George was rather outspoken about Mussolini. And you have to remember that in Fayetteville, there was quite a few Italians there. And of course, this did not go well. So here is allegedly George and Jennie, if that is their photo, behind a billboard. And so this Rosser came to the house in October, 2 months before the fire, and they got into a heated argument about Mussolini. And Rosser Long indicated that his children would die in a house fire, ironically. By the way, his real name ended up being Armstead Rosser Long Jr., October 12th, 1907 to May 29th, 1986. So Jennie and George believed the children were taken from the house before the fire because they never found a single bone. The weird thing is when they re-excavated it later, they found what they thought was a heart or a liver, and it ended up being a cow organ, and it was never in a fire. So somebody was definitely planting stuff on the land there. They also... these are the 5 children that allegedly died in the fire. Jennie Sodder, born in 1937. Louis Errico, born in 1935. Maurice Antonio, born 1931. Martha Lee, born 1933. And Betty Dolly, born 1940. So George himself was born in 1895, and he immigrated to the U.S. from Italy. Now, he never told anybody about his past in Italy. He just didn't speak about it. So there was kind of a mystery around him. Now, they went on to have 10 children. So this is so strange that the fire department took 7 hours to get there. The ladders, when he went to get the ladders, George was going to climb to the 2nd floor to get a ladder, and the ladders were gone. I mean, there was just too many things in here that claim suspicion. George and Jennie, they never for 1 minute believed that those children died in the fire. At one point, George went to New York because there was a picture that allegedly looked like one of the daughters. And then another time they hired a private detective because they received a picture of what looked like their son, Louis, and the private detective disappeared and was never heard from again. So this is very strange, and this will be a really good case to ask the tarot cards about. Now, I'm not going to go into every single detail of this because there's so many podcasts on there that go into this, to what happened really in depth. So I just kind of wanted to briefly go over this for you. The fact that it's kind of strange on December 24th, Christmas Eve. The family was up, by the way, later. And when Jennie got up, she noticed that the lights were on. She heard something on the roof, like something hit the roof and kind of roll off. She noticed the door was unlocked. All the curtains were open. So she had to take care of those details. So, this whole thing on Christmas Eve. Now, Marion, the oldest daughter, on that night of Christmas Eve, had been working in the dime store in downtown Fayetteville, and she was surprised three of her younger sisters, Martha 12, Jennie 8, and Betty 5, with new toys that she bought them as gifts. And the younger children were so excited they asked their mother if they could stay up past what would have been their normal bedtime. So at 10 p.m., Jennie told them they could stay up a little longer as long as the two boys were still awake, and that was 14-year-old Maurice and 9-year-old Louis, who remembered to put the cows out and feed the chickens before going to bed themselves. So George and the two older boys, John 23 and George Jr. 16, had spent the day working with their father, and they were already asleep. After reminding the children of those chores, Sylvia took Sylvia, who was 2, upstairs with her and went to bed together. Now, the weird thing is at 12:30 a.m., Jennie woke up to a phone call, which was a woman's voice she didn't recognize, and it was the sound of laughter and clinking glasses. And Jennie told the caller that she had reached the wrong number, and she later recalled this woman had a weird laugh. She hung up and returned to bed, and then that's when she noticed that the curtains were open and that the children normally attended to, and that Marion had fallen asleep on the couch, so Jennie assumed the other children were staying up later and would go back up to the attic where they slept. So she closed the curtains, turned off the lights, and returned to bed. At 11 a.m., she heard an object on the roof with a loud bang and a rolling noise, heard nothing further, and went back to sleep. Half hour later, she could smell smoke. She went up and found the room George used for his office was on fire around the telephone line and the fuse box. Jennie woke him up, and he woke his older sons. Both the parents and their 4 children, Miriam, Sylvia, John, and George Jr., escaped the house. They frantically yelled to the children upstairs, but they heard no response. Interesting. They could not go up the stairway because the stairway itself was already in flames. So George said in the first police interview after the fire, he went up to the attic to alert his siblings sleeping there, and though he later changed his story to say he only called up there, he actually did not see them. So that was also interesting. But when a neighbor went to call the fire department, they couldn't get through. When Jennie tried to call, it didn't work. So these 2 successful people, for some reason, they couldn't reach the operator. The phone seemed to be broken. The fire department took 7 hours late to get there. George climbed the wall, broke up an attic window, cutting his arm in the process, and they intended to use a ladder to get to the attic, but the ladders weren't there. Also, his truck, when he went to get the truck to haul the water he used for his business, neither one of his trucks would start, and they worked perfectly the day before. This is all screaming suspicion. So the house burned and collapsed over the next 45 minutes, and they just assumed that the other children perished in the blaze. So, in the aftermath, George and Jennie would hire many investigators to try to dig into what happened of this. But, the town, the local town and the lawyers and the police there did nothing. So they just issued death certificates December 30th. And the newspaper messed up and said the body's been found, then they weren't found, then maybe part of them were found. So there was a lot of confusion in the newspapers about this. They claimed it was the Christmas lights. And so anyway, this is going to be a very interesting story or situation, not story, but a great mystery to ask the tarot cards on. So that was like a brief story. There's a lot of great podcasts on this, but I want to hit right on to the tarot cards, and I want to say, take us through, I'm using the Haunted House Tarot to begin with. Take us through what happened on December 24th, 1945, when the Sodder home caught or was put on fire. Take us through that evening. Oh, creepy. This is a creepy deck, so I'll also use another deck, but this is a child's toy, which is weird. It's a creepy child's toy. Let's just put it that way. Oh my God, you can't make this stuff up. So here's the blaze and feeling trapped. Oh, wait though. She is not really in the blaze, but she is tied up. Well, now that's interesting. And of course, we're talking about a fire. We get a child's toy and a fire. Yeah. So what happened with this? Oh, he's got white gloves. He's dressed formally. Okay. Somebody here masterminded this. Somebody masterminded this, which is, I'm going to put this card up and I'm going to come back to my serious tarot deck, the Universal Weight, and I'm going to say, who was he? Who was this guy that masterminded it? So he was told to shut his mouth. He was told to shut his mouth, keep his mouth closed. He was told to keep his mouth closed. This was a strong organization. This is the Strength card. This is somebody who possibly belonged to an organization. Let's find out. Give us another clue about who this guy is that masterminded this. The leader, king, crown. Whew. All right. Somebody masterminded it. Okay. So we kind of suspected that just based on no ladders, trucks won't start. Oh, here they are taken at night. This is what I suspected. So this is the moon card, and this is deception, and there they are walking away at night. So I think the children were taken away, so they weren't in the blaze. They were taken away at night with the moon, deception. All right. So they wanted them to believe that they were dead because they're in a cemetery and she's holding her children. So they wanted them to believe that they were dead because this is in a cemetery. But she's holding a child, and then there's this group, this creepy group looking at this. So they were being watched by a creepy group. I wonder, okay, let's keep going. The King of Cups. Yeah, the King of Cups right next to this guy. So this was a leader, the King of Cups. This is the king. This is the head poncho, the head person organizing this. And they had to plot this out. Now look, there's a skeleton hand coming behind the chair. There's a skeleton hand coming out behind the chair. So this was kind of plotted out. This was plotted out. Well plotted out. And there they are starting the fire. So this was definitely arson. 100% arson, 100% at night. We get a dark-haired man. Dark-haired man definitely had an interest in this. There was some kind of an interest. So let me ask this. And I'm going to ask the Universal Weight. Were the children... What was the purpose for taking the children? What was the purpose for taking the 5 children from their home? Okay, here's the people outside of their home. Oh, there's the children. Here's the children playing here, taking them away from the home. Why? Why? Money. Money? Money. Money. The children were taken for money. Well, okay. So the children were taken for money. And then what happened to them? What happened to the children? They were taken for money. Well, here's the child. That's a page of swords. So what happened to the children? What does the money have to do with this? Focused on the money. The children, and they were focused on the money. Did the children survive this? Did the children survive this? Oh, geez, they were oh man. I almost said the F word. FFF. I'll just say the first letter of it. FFF. This is sick. This is culty. This is sick. Oh, wait. They were taken for money. Were they sold? Were they sold? Was this like trafficking? I mean, they were definitely chained up. This is very evil. And money again. Where did they end up? Somewhere else. The hermit on a mountain. Somewhere where they wouldn't ever be found. Somewhere remote. Okay, this means remote. Okay, they were taken to a very remote place. Because remote, the hermit, hermits go in caves. Somewhere very remote. And then what happened to them? Large organization. So, a large you know what? I'm thinking this could be a crime thing. Italy has mobsters. What do you call them? Gangsters, yanksters, mobsters, mafia. Italy has, and if George never talked to, okay, now we got to ask. All right, let's put these cards back. Oh man, I got to get a different deck. I'm just going to use a regular Robin Hood. Was George the father tied up in a mafia group somehow? Was George Sodder tied up in the mafia group somehow? That's not really a mafia group, the Knight of Cups. That's actually somebody that his past. Oh, Nine's talk about his past. He had a shady past. And he came here to start new and do what he loved. So he came over here to start new and do what he loved, but he had a shady past. Was it tied up with the mafia, though? Was he tied up with the mafia? Ooh. Oh, my God, we get all these knights. Wait, knights. Like Knights Templar. Knights are organizations. He's surrounded by knights. He was somehow tied up in some organization. Because, knights, the Knights Templar, there's knights are organizations. He was tied up in an organization. And he fled to come over here to probably do what he loved and get away from that. But my guess. So does George? He couldn't have known. He spent his whole life looking for his children. He couldn't have. Did he suspect did George suspect who did this to his children? Did he have any suspicions at all? Yeah, I think he was aware. He was manipulated. I think this is the card that can talk about manipulation. So I think he was aware that somebody was manipulated it, and his children were taken far away. Wow. Okay, this is interesting. Now, going back to this, I want to know about the traveling salesman. Did the traveling salesman who gave George that warning that his house would burn and burn his children? I mean, that's too. I can't believe the police didn't even talk to him. Did he have? He gave his name as Rosser Long. Was he involved directly in this fire? Rosser Long, the traveling salesman guy. Seven of Pentacles. So there you have the money. Let's pull another card. That's the money. Oh my God, somebody had like a bounty on their head. Like there's a head in the cup there that's standing out on me. Like there was a bounty on somebody's head. They put a okay, so they put a bounty on somebody's head, or not that they necessarily intended for actually anybody to die in that fire, because allegedly no one did. If the children were taken, there would have been nobody, which means that's why they didn't have any. Did Rosser Long belong to part of a group that was ultimately all responsible, like the oh yeah, there you go, there he shows up. So there was more than one. There was a group responsible for this, but he was one of the ones that actually could have actually started the fire. I mean, he actually could have started the fire, the traveling salesman guy. So it's definitely, this was a plot. We've got 7 of Pentacles, 7 of Cups. We've got 2 sevens there. I mean, there's definitely planning, plotting, and there he is starting the fire. And then the fire chief or the fire department, was the fire department either threatened or were they tied up in the mafia? Let's just ask this. Was the fire department tied up in the mafia? Because it seems weird they took 7 hours to get to a fire. Oh, God. Oh, there's the fire department, and we have fire all in a row. Fire department not going, not attending it, and there's the fire. Oh, and this could be underground buildings, like underground, yeah. So there could have been members in the fire department that were, obviously there was. Oh yeah, look at, they're monsters. They were monsters. Now, this also is our theory about taken from your bed. Monsters taking these kids from their bed, from, looks like a window near here, coming and grabbing these children. Did the children, I forgot to show you that there was, years later, this picture of what seemed to be one of their grown sons. I don't know if I put it on here. That's the reward poster. But it was here, Lewis, all grown up. And there was some code numbers on there, which somebody figured out could have been a zip code to Italy. So, and they're claiming that this could have been Lewis when he was all grown up. And so they received this letter from him, and they tried to investigate that. And of course, everything was blocked that they tried to do. So I want to ask, was that picture that was sent to them, was that really Lewis? Was that their son Lewis reaching out to them? Was that their son Lewis reaching out to them? Because he was an adult, and he wanted them to know that he wasn't dead. And King of Cups is a family man. This is making sense. Because he would have only been like 28, and it would have been, the kid in the picture was about the age that he would have been at the time. So this just means he wanted his father or family, this is the family man, to know he wasn't dead. Oh yeah, that was very challenging for him. And there's the 5 that would have been missing, the 5 children engaged in a challenge. So will this eventually be solved? Will this will this be figured out, what happened to these children? So this has been well kept and blocked. Okay, so all of the efforts have been blocked, which is the truth, and they've caused a lot of confusion. There's the bounty. There's, here's the covered up on the, covered up, you can't see, and they want to create a lot of confusion around here. Yeah, this is oh my gosh. So like people went to their graves, like the Jennie and George went to their grave not knowing what happened to these 5 children, but they suspected they were alive, but they just didn't know where they were. They searched their whole lives for them. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to do something strange here. I'm actually going to tap in and try to get a hold of Jennie, the mother, who's now, is she passed? Yeah, she would have to be, I would think. I'll find out when she died. When did Jennie Sodder die? 1989. Okay. I want to try to get a hold of her or George. I don't even care which one it is. Who can communicate? George or Jennie, the parents? Who can communicate with me? George or Jennie? Let's just find out who it's going to be. Who is it? Who is it? Oh, it's George. Okay. George. Look at the house going up in smoke, like all the smoke in the background. Here comes George. And he was passionate about finding out what happened to them. George, do you know what happened to your children now that you're on the other side? Did you get closure on this? Do you know what happened to your children now that you're on the other side? I'm using steampunk for this. Yes, he does. George, what happened to them? What did you find out when you were on the other side? Oh man. So the girls, so his daughters, Jennie and Martha and Betty, were sold into like sex slavery. What happened to the boys? They went like, they were, so there was a plan put together, and the boys were actually workers, like raised in a situation where they became like workers or out in society. So 2 of the youngest ones stayed together for a while, he said. They were scared out of their wits because this large organization took them. 2 of them stayed together for a while. So, okay, so George, what are you telling me? So now, so he's telling me that this is the card about being at peace, that they're now at, that the George, is Jennie also at peace? At least that you know what happened to these children, are even though it's not something you approve of, it's like you were happy that they weren't dead? Or what are your thoughts on this, George? Death, yes. Oh, death. Oh, that's interesting. They were just thankful they weren't dead. They were so thankful they weren't dead that they were like, they were tough kids. They could get away. Did the daughters eventually escape? George, did the daughters eventually escape that slavery or whatever that, prostitution or whatever that was that they trafficking? Did the daughters eventually escape that life? Said it was very hard on them. Oh God, there's a girl in a bed. Oh my God, for God's sake, Jesus. Oh Jesus, criminy. Oh, there's a cult, like the mastermind of the cult. That's the magician again. He was, so they had somebody assigned to them, like a cult, or like you said, the mafia. Could be the mafia. Oh Jesus, criminy. So it could be that the daughters, passed away. It could be that the daughters passed away from this ringleader. So maybe they were trying to escape or something and passed away. Are you with any of your family, George? Are you with any of your children on the other side? Are you with your children on the other side? Oh, he's continuing to do. He wants research. Here's the King of Swords. Oh, so the son. He's got sons with him. Oh yeah, he brings the Star card. So they're at peace on the other side. The ones that have passed or whatever, they're at peace. They're at peace on the other side. So this is the peace card, the star. It's like the hopes and dreams, and we're a star family now. There's a bright light. There's star family. So yes, this case is still very much has people interested and intrigued in it. So was there justice? That's what I wanted to ask him. Do you feel like there was justice served in the what happened to you? Do you feel like there was justice in this? Do you have closure on this, or what do you feel about that? And so he still wants to stress that the children were taken away at night. See the lights on the house at night? But let me ask him about the justice. He's almost avoiding this. Ooh, yeah. Oh, Jennie. Oh, this would be Jennie. And Jennie finding out who this unknown person was. Did Jennie get justice on this somehow? Oh, they just want to keep saying that we are at peace. We are at peace. It's almost like it's almost like there's still a hidden organization out there, and they don't want like any of the descendants or whatever to get caught up in this again. So it's almost like they don't want to say anything because she was holding the hand of an invisible person. So does this group still exist? Does this evil group still exist today? There's this evil kind of group. Up in the air, not saying. So this is the card about, kind of having a veil and pretending things are okay. It's happy, but we don't know the whole story. Okay, so we don't know the whole story. Oh, we don't know the whole story. Oh, they're saying that we don't know the whole story about the children. Okay, we don't know the whole story. So that I think that what we would have to know would be George's past, why he came to America, and then what his connection, because he was speaking poorly, I guess, about Mussolini, and then of course, then he gets threatened because that was, So I think this was tied up. Was what happened to him? Was what happened to George and his children? Was that related to his comments or connections with Mussolini or whatever? Was that? Yeah, it was tied in. It was, look at spies. Oh, spies. Spies. Spies? Spies. Oh yeah, definitely that's like a cult group. Look at this. It's got a weapon. See the weapon? Oh yeah. This is spying, and yeah. So he came away from Italy fleeing something. And it kind of followed him over here. Yeah, there's the group, the same card we got. It followed him over here. All right. Wow. Did not expect that. What are the children? Are any of the children passed away on the other side now that? Oh yeah. So here's the children passing away. Okay, and now that they're passed away, do the children are they kind of at peace? And they are. Okay, so the children are at peace. Okay, all right. So it looks like, that the event for them, the people that went through it, of course, they're not on the planet anymore. So this was a drama kind of down here on the physical earth plane that's not really playing out to them over there. There's closure and peace and happiness with them on the other side. They feel good being on the other side, and that they were comforted. This is comforting someone as they're passing. So they were comforted, or they feel comforted now. Oh, there they are. Happy reunion. Oh my gosh. Well, this is good news. And you know what? If I'm going to end something on a video, I'd like to end on a good card like this. They are happily reunited on the other side, having potlucks, dinners, the way it used to be. So that is very interesting. I feel like this was definitely an evil plot, and it was horrible what happened to them, and that they had to spend their whole lives looking for these children. But this was an interesting case to look at. So if you have any insights, or I pulled any cards that you saw some symbols in there and you want to talk about that, please let me know or put your comments below. But this was absolutely fascinating, this case, and I was happy that someone referred it to me.